Well, hey there, Mark Peebles here with the Peebles Group at Navex Realty. And I just want to say welcome to September and the September monthly market update. I'm so eager to get into what's going on in the market. Now, just so that you know, if you haven't watched one of these before, this is a long form update. This is for those of you that want all of the nitty gritty details about what is going on in the real estate market today and how that affects you. And then we put out some shorter form content during the month. But for now, let's get started and talk about what is going on in the market this month in September. I want to start out with this here and show you pending home sales. This is very important because this shows you from 2012 up through today what has happened in terms of pending home sales in the market. Why do I bring this up? Well, because they're saying we are in a market shift. Things are softening in the market. At least that's what the media is telling you. So my goal is to bring some context to that this month. I want you to look all the way over here at the end. On the right-hand side, you're going to see that little red arrow. That is where we are seeing things start to drop off in the market. And by drop off, it's a fairly nominal drop off. So I'm going to get in at the very end what's going on in the Cincinnati Dayton markets. But for now, I want you to see that arrow, see the downshift, and see what the media is talking about. Now, I love this quote, and this is what I want to kind of sit on here. It says, according to the Deputy Chief Economist for First American, he says, we are seeing some signs of softening in the housing market, but context is important here. We are still very much in a seller's market, but we are seeing some early signs of softening. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we go. Well, let's look and see what the activity has been like. So one of the ways that we look at buyer activity is we look at Showing Time's monthly index. Showing Time is the showing service that is most widely used in the real estate industry, and it's kind of how we see buyer activity. And so as we look at this, you can see the Showing Time index is actually down for July of 2021. It's down at a 189.4. Now, if we were to go back to July of last year and say, oh my goodness, July of last year, it was at a 200. Therefore, things must be going down if it's below last year. So last year was a crazy year. We ended up having a shutdown. That's where you see the red there on the far left-hand side. We had a shutdown during our prime selling season in the real estate market. And then things started to reopen as we got into June and July. And that's why we saw an uptick. The normal spring market shifted to be a summer market and then really never stopped last year. But if you really want context, let's go back to 2019 and look at that index. Here in 2019, this same index from Showing Time was at 123. We are still seeing so much more activity in the market than we were even in a more normalized market in 2019. Okay, so what percentage of homes right now are selling over list price? Because we've been hearing about all this multiple offer stuff. Well, we were hearing a ton about that back in 2020. But let's see what the shift in the market and the downturn or the softening in the market is doing. Okay, so June 2021, it was 50.4% of homes that were selling over asking price. A month later, as we are starting to soften, and this is the data that all of the media is looking at, it was 49.6. So go back, look at that July of 2020. We are still, double what we were just about back 1 year ago in July of 2020. We are still in an incredible seller's market here. Lots of competition driving up the price of homes, and we see them selling often over asking price. So monthly listing counts from 2017 through 2020 are shown here on this current chart. You can see last year we saw a big dip in what is normally the spring selling season, and then we just never got up anywhere close to those averages that we saw in 17, 18, and 19. Where are we today? Today, We are ahead of where we are last year in terms of listing counts, which is a very good thing. We need inventory in the market because we have such a high buyer demand. But as you can see, even this year, we are running below 17, 18, and 19, and in desperate need of more inventory being on the market. However, they are saying, and this is from the chief economist at realtor.com, she said that if these changing inventory dynamics continue, we could see a wave of real estate activity heading into the latter part of the year. In other words, if we continue to see listing inventory right above where it was last year and continually, move it closer to where we were 17, 18, and 19, we could have a very strong fourth quarter of selling this year. But this all brings up, because we've had so much demand, so little inventory, that's driving up prices. People are making crazy offers over asking price. What about housing affordability? Is it even affordable to buy a home anymore? Let me debunk some of those myths here. Well, first of all, as you can see here, this is, over the past year back to April 2020, the average monthly mortgage interest payment, or I'm sorry, monthly mortgage payment. Well, look at it today. The last data we have from June shows that we are at $1,255. It has gone up significantly. We're up over $200 since June of last year. So yes, affordability in this case is going down. And we see another stats from the National Association of Realtors that since January, this index has dropped from 186 down to 146.3. Man, affordability continues to go down. But let's look at 1990 to today, because I think this is good perspective. 1990s all the way up through the crash in 2008, we see a fairly low affordability index. Then you've got 2008, 9, 10, 11, and the years when we saw bank-owned properties out the wazoo coming to market. If you look at that time frame, affordability went way up, and there were a ton of houses available. We saw depreciation in home values. And so people were able to buy more house, and homes were more affordable. Mortgage rates were decent at that time. I mean, they were still considered then to be record lows. And now we start to see that affordability coming back down again here in 2021. But yet we're still not back down to where we were pre-crash. That's important to note. So that's the average that you see over the years, but that takes into account those years when affordability went up during the crash. Now, look at median asking rent. This is crazy. Since 1988, when do you see a downturn in rent rates? I mean, you might see a little bit of a blip here and there, but for the most part, rent has gone up and up and up. And I find this interesting. My dad has always said, my dad's been in real estate for 48 years. My dad has always said, son, if you're buying a home, you're either paying your own mortgage or you're paying someone else's mortgage. Well, when you're paying someone else's mortgage, they also tack profit onto that. They cover expenses in that. And so you have to realize that if a mortgage payment on a standard 4-bedroom home is going to be around $1,200 right now, well, you're probably going to pay $1,500, $1,600, $1,700 in rent for that same house. We commonly see that in our market here. So just know rent has gone up, 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 and it's probably not ever coming down. So when you look at the percentage of income that should be going into your mortgage payment every month, or your house payment, maybe even your rent payment, what should that amount be? What percentage of my income should I be spending on my monthly mortgage payment? Well, Dave Ramsey says 25%. I'm a Dave Ramsey endorsed local provider, a proud Dave Ramsey endorsed local provider, and I have been since 2014. And I've always told my clients 25% for your mortgage payment is a very good place to be. And let me break here while I'm talking Dave Ramsey and say that I am proud to now be Ramsey Trusted. This is a new designation that Dave Ramsey has released, and we are lucky enough to have received the Ramsey Trusted Shield. There's a lot of criteria that went into receiving this honor, but we are now Ramsey Trusted. So endorsed local provider and Ramsey Trusted. This is something you'll start to hear Dave Ramsey talk about on his show. But let's go back to that percentage here. Freddie Mac has an essential guide to creating a home buying budget. In their budget, you'll see there, it says that most lenders agree you should spend no more than 28% of your gross monthly income on your mortgage payment. That includes your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. National Association of Realtors says 25%, and that's because they're taking in the other expenses that you're going to have. Here's a nice graphic to show that, though. If you look at the National Association of Realtors guidance, then look at the historical average. On average, people are not spending the full amount that is recommended to budget for your mortgage and your housing expense. In fact, right now, the historical average is 21.2%. But look at today's percentage. It is 17.1%. That means that right now we're spending less as a percentage of our monthly mortgage payment than we have at any point in history. We're bringing the average down right now. And we are certainly below what Dave Ramsey, Freddie Mac, and the National Association of Realtors recommend. So here's the simple statement. Yes, homes are less affordable, but not unaffordable. When you take into account wages, when you take into account just overall the economy, and you take into account interest rates and all of the things that go into what that monthly mortgage payment is going to be, homes might be less affordable, but they're certainly not unaffordable. So let's talk about the normal market, all right? Really, let's talk about the 5 reasons that today's housing market is anything but normal. So looking at the definition of normal here, we looked up the Merriam-Webster dictionary definition. It says conforming to a type, standard, or regular pattern characterized by that which is considered usual, typical, or routine. I'll tell you what, I've been in real estate now for 15 years. There is nothing usual, typical, or routine about the market that we are in. And here's the 5 reasons why. Well, 1, mortgage rates are a major reason why this is not a normal market. Look at the average historical mortgage rates by decade. You've got the 70s and the 8%, really not bad. The 80s, I'm sure there's a lot of you that would like to forget about the 80s. If you owned homes or tried to buy homes in the 80s, I know my dad always talks about the crazy interest rates of the 1980s, 90s, back in those 8%, 2000s, you were in the 6s. Those were amazing rates. The 2010s, we dropped down into the 4s. In fact, a couple of years ago, I had a client at the beginning of 2019, the rates jumped to 5%. They freaked out. They were shocked and amazed that they were having to pay a 5% interest rate. Of course, then they dropped right back down to where we are today. Look at where we are. The mortgage rates on the Freddie Mac 30-year fixed, 2.87%. Mortgage rates are unbelievable. That makes homes much more affordable. So don't just look at the, how much you're paying for the home. Yes, home values are appreciating. They are going up. That is a normal market that we would see home values appreciating. Very rarely do they depreciate. So we're in a normal, we're in an abnormal appreciation because it's going up so fast. But 2.87% makes those homes much more affordable. The second thing is that home appreciation, just what I was talking about. So look at annual home appreciation by the calendar year. So average annual appreciation sits at 4.14%. Look at 2021 so far, 14.1%. Last month, we were at over 14% in Cincinnati and mid 13% range in Dayton for the year over year July stats. I'm going to show you where they are this month at the end, and I think you'll be surprised. It's actually a good, healthy appreciation rate right now, and we expect appreciation to continue for the next many years. I heard Dave Ramsey say recently it's probably an 8 to 10 year run of appreciation, but I do expect appreciation to come to a more normal level over the next couple of years. Here's another one. The months of supply of inventory. So according to the National Association of Realtors, months of supply refers to the number of months it would take for the current inventory of homes on the market to sell given the current sales pace. Historically, 6 months of supply is associated with moderate price appreciation, and a lower level of month supply tends to push prices up more rapidly. I'm going to show you where we are in Cincinnati and Dayton, but I want to show you, according to the National Association of Realtors, 2011 to today, I remember going on those listing appointments where I had to tell someone they had an 11-month inventory. That means that to sell everything on the market would take 11 months. That is a big time buyer's market, the biggest I've seen in my career. But fast forward to today, we're sitting at 2.6 months of inventory. That is still well into a seller's market, but wait till you see Cincinnati and Dayton. I'm hoping you stick with me. The days it takes to sell a home. Look at the average days on market. March of 19, you're at 42. Go to February, you're at 49 in February of 19. But come all the way up to today, and look where we're sitting. We've been at 17 for the last several months. So it takes 17 days to sell a house. In other words, I put my house on today, and within 17 days, I can expect to have it under contract. Now, the reality is that there's a few that are pulling those numbers up, but we're still seeing houses sell within the weekend. Homes are moving very fast in today's market. And the last thing that make this market not so normal is the number of offers per listing. When we look at this, the average numbers of offers received, now that it messed up my numbers there on my slide there, so sorry about that. But on average, it's nationwide 4.5 offers per listing is what we are seeing in the most recent data. That's huge. On average, 4.5 offers per listing. We're seeing that in our markets as well. Almost every listing that goes in the market, when priced appropriately, will get multiple offers. We have a strategy that we employ to help get to that multiple offer point, and I can talk more about that if you have questions about it. So what are we looking at for the 2022 home price forecast? Well, we have several of the different organizations that look at this, from the Mortgage Brokers Association, National Association of Realtors, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. All of these have different perspectives on this. I believe that NAR is low. I tend to be more with the Mortgage Brokers Association at that 8.4 range, but the average of all of these forecasts is about 5.5%. That is a good, healthy range. It's on the high side of healthy. But again, I believe, at least in the Dayton and Cincinnati markets, we're probably going to see north of that 5.5% average. So this is from the senior economist at Realtor.com. He says, I expect an unusually busy fall season. Sellers are putting homes on the market. Normally, this activity happens in early spring. Just this week, I think we've had 6 or 7 calls and appointments scheduled. Calls to us. This is not us making outbound calls. It's calls to us to come out, take a look at the house. We want to get it on the market. That is a very good week of calls coming in to us from our clients and past clients. So I say that because what the economist is saying here, George, we're seeing over the last couple of weeks. And a normal market cycle, we get through Labor Day and the market takes off. We are really starting to see that right now. So here's the numbers you've all been waiting for. Drum roll, please. So the inventory in Cincinnati and Dayton. Cincinnati sitting at 17.1 days of inventory. Remember, nationally, we were at 2.6 months. Cincinnati's at 17.1 days. Dayton sitting at 18.3 days of inventory. In other words, for all of the homes currently on the market today to be sold would take 17.1 or 18.3 days, respectively, in each of those markets. The average sale price for August of this year, average sale price in Cincinnati was $291,838. This is the latest full month of data we have. Dayton was $223,845. The year-over-year change from August 20 to August 21st, Cincinnati 11.3%. Dayton at 9.2%. Now, last month, this was in the low teens. Does that mean we're seeing a big market softening? Does that mean that the market's going the other direction? Does that mean that the value of my home is going to go down in Cincinnati or Dayton? Absolutely not. We are still continuing to see very strong appreciation. And with buyer demand that we currently have, I expect that we are going to have a very healthy selling fall, continue to see multiple offers, and continue to see homes selling over their asking price. Last thing, do you have more questions? If you do, I am here to answer questions for you. So you're asking, what's the value of my home right now? Great. I'd love to run those numbers for you. Or how do I introduce you to my family, friends, neighbors, and coworkers that need your services, that are planning to sell or planning to buy a home or planning to buy an investment this fall? Just have them reach out to me. Shoot me an email. You got my email address there, and you may have received this by email. There's my email address. There's my phone number, 937-572-7111. As always, I am here to help. So guys, thank you. I know this is a longer form. I know there's a lot of detail in this, but I want to put this out every month so that you can really understand and break through the noise that you hear in the media to know what is truly going on in the real estate market. Thank you so much. I hope that your family has an amazing, blessed fall this year. And I look forward to talking to you all very soon. We'll see you.